Welcome to 4 Consuls General on Emerging Tech in Asia. We are so pleased to be here in person with you to welcome the San Francisco Consuls General from India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Australia. We have hosted a number of these programs with our Consuls General from San Francisco, and the last one we did in person was right before the pandemic, so we are very, very happy to be back here in person today. Our mission at Asia Society is to navigate shared futures. We have 14 centers around the world looking at our Consul Generals. Those cities include Sydney and Melbourne, Mumbai, and Manila. And what differentiates our center from all of those other ones is our focus on technology. So today, since we are at the heart of Silicon Valley, we look forward to learning about the new trends and innovations in emerging markets in Asia. We have all the experts with us right up here in the front row. So thank you for joining us. I'm Margaret Conley, the Executive Director of the Northern California Center. This program is part of our AAPI Heritage Month celebratory events, and we have a special guest I'd like to acknowledge today from President Biden's AAPI Advisory Commission, AJ Butoria. Thank you, AJ, for being with us here today and all the work that you are doing. Our format for this evening, our discussions with the Consuls General, we have 1 hour for that. So we will end at 6 o'clock, and we're going to get started very shortly here. I'm going to introduce our moderator, Priya Rajan from Silicon Valley Bank, and we thank Silicon Valley Bank for sponsoring this program. Priya will introduce our speakers, then we're going to open the room up to audience Q&A. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have mic runners. Wait for the microphone to come to you. Priya will call on you, and then we're going to get to as many of you as we can. Be sure to introduce yourself before you ask your question. This event is on the record. We are recording, and the video is going to be up on our website in about a week. After this discussion, we're hosting a cultural reception. It's our favorite part of this program. We have food and drink from the Philippines, food and cultural performance from India, and wine, of course, from Australia. The reception is going to continue until 7 o'clock, and a big thank you to the consulates for providing all of that fun stuff for us. Thank you also to Medill, this is their beautiful venue, and to Rich Gordon for providing it to us. So stay tuned also tomorrow, because one person in this audience, and you have to be a member to win, is going to win a round-trip Southwest E-Pass to anywhere Southwest flies, which includes Hawaii. So stay tuned for your emails. Only a member can win, so if you're not a member, sign up with us outside in the reception area. So let's go ahead and get started. A few words about moderator Priya Rajan. Priya is the market lead for India, the Middle East, and North Africa in Silicon Valley Bank's International Market and Development Team Global Gateway. She is an expert on market entry insights and who the top founders and investors are in those regions, and she's a charter member of TIE, which is a huge India entrepreneur organization in town here. Please welcome Priya Rajan.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Margaret, Rexy, and everyone at the Asia Society for this opportunity. I mean, this is such an honor, and I'm really excited for this conversation. Before we jump in, I'm just going to do a quick intro of all the CGs here. CG Ferrer has served as Consul General of Republic of Philippines in San Francisco since January of 2021. Prior to that, he served as Consul General of Philippines in Vancouver from 2013 to 2018, and as Assistant Secretary of Consular Affairs of Department of Foreign Affairs in Philippines from 18 to 21. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. CG Hadi, a career diplomat with 25 years of service, was appointed as Consul General of the Republic of Indonesia in San Francisco in September 2021. Prior to that, he has held several government positions in Jakarta, LA, France, and Germany. CG Prasad, Consul General of India, San Francisco. Previously, he was serving at the Ministry of External Affairs as Joint Secretary holding the Gulf Division. And prior to that, he was India's ambassador for Turkmenistan. Deputy Consul Odette, welcome. And she is the Deputy Consul General and Trade and Investment Commissioner at Austrade. Odette supports Austrade's work on the West Coast of the United States and co-leads the teams responsible for investment, attraction, and trade support in digital technologies across Americas. Welcome, everyone. And as Margaret said, I'm Priya Rajan. I oversee the India and Middle East North Africa market for Silicon Valley Bank, and we've been a commercial bank for almost 40 plus years. And the best part is we get to work with some of these markets and some of these innovation that comes from the markets. I'm excited to dive into the topic that's today, which is emerging tech in Asia. With that said, just let's dive in. If you have a question, please hold off. But I'm looking forward to having that 20-minute interaction with you all to ask those questions when we get there. So we're going to start with, with all of you, question for all of you. Global venture deals, as we all know, has reached record highs in 2021, even through the pandemic. And I think funding more than doubled, if not tripled in some of the areas year over year, as the startup investments soared across regions, especially India, LATAM, Southeast Asia, New Zealand, Australia. Again, you all are representing all of those markets. So question for you, maybe CG Odette, we'll start with you. What are some of the new and innovative technologies that are being developed in your countries that you would like to share about?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So Australia is a leader in quantum. So we've been investing in quantum for decades now. Microsoft, IBM, AWS, Google are all investing in Australia in quantum. We've got expertise in quantum computing, quantum communications and sensors. It's something that a lot of the companies that are led around the world in quantum are actually led by Australians, and Americans have been acquiring Australian quantum technology companies for quite some time. So that's one of the areas that we're actually seeing a priority for global countries, and the AUKUS agreement that was signed just 6 months ago really does prioritise quantum, AI and cybersecurity. And those are some of the areas that we've got real strengths in Australia. We've got more than 700 fintechs in Australia, more than 500 medtechs, 500 edtechs and 400 agri-tech companies in Australia. We're seeing a lot of cybersecurity companies come over to the US and do really well. In fintech, we've got a real expertise in payments technologies. You've got your Afterpays and your Wallexes that are doing well globally. But I think across the board, we've got some real success from Australian companies in those areas.
And we're going to double click on it a little bit later on building for the world. I think Australia has been doing a ton of those as well.
Yeah.
CG Prasad, on your end.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very important topic at this juncture. I thank Asia Society for organizing this. Actually, as we are coming out of the pandemic, I think the worst fallout is gone, we can say. The COVID pandemic has resulted in several technology ventures. I can tell you in India, the COVID pandemic has been overcome through technology. It was all tech-centric approach. And I must tell you, we went through several apps came up, and you all know that the vaccine production, leave about India producing its own vaccines. Even here, mRNA vaccine in 1 year, it's unimaginable. We were talking about vaccine productions in 50 years. So that is a kind of technology which we went through. In India, particularly we have gone through particularly sharing, tracing, contact tracing, etc. Through the technology. Technology has been used very widely in overcoming. I can tell you today as we speak, we have vaccinated 900 million people in India, fully vaccinated. That is 1.9 billion doses of vaccine have been used. And then over and above, we have distributed to about 100 countries. This was all possible only because of technology. This technology, which has helped us to overcome, has really demonstrated the power of technology. Coming to digitization, I think COVID pandemic has resulted in more digitization than ever before. I can tell you, in India, digital transaction is very, it was very poor before pandemic. I can tell you in the last 1 year, we had 70 billion transactions, digital transactions, the online transactions. No cash is used, and then it is going up, and then we are looking at by the end of 2022, it will be about $1 trillion transaction digitally. So this is the kind of technology we are witnessing in India. As regards now for contribution to global, we always are proud that we produce more for global requirements than domestic requirements. So we have about 70% of 50 most innovative companies of the world stationed their R&D offices in India.
Thank you. CG Ferrer.
Thank you, Priya. Firstly, I wish to thank Asia Society Northern California for inviting me to this forum. I'm very happy, of course, to join my colleagues here in sharing with you the exciting developments happening in the Philippines and, of course, the broader Southeast Asia and Indo-Pacific region. The successful U.S.-ASEAN Special Summit hosted by President Joe Biden last week in Washington, D.C. underscores the importance of partnership between the countries in our region and the United States. And among the key areas highlighted during that discussion of the summit is the need for strengthening economic ties and connectivity, as well as leveraging technologies and promoting innovation, which is the subject of our discussion this evening. You have noted, Priya, earlier on the record high global venture deals and startup investments in 2021. Well, I'm happy to inform the group that in the Philippines, indeed, we have seen last year a new record level of foreign direct investments into the country, reaching over 10.5 billion US dollars. This reflects strong confidence on the Philippine economy, which is rapidly recovering from the pandemic. Last year, our GDP grew by 5.6%. And in the first quarter of this year, the Philippine economy grew by 8.3%, surpassing the pre-pandemic GDP level, making the Philippines the fastest growing economy in the East Asia during the first quarter of this year. We hope to sustain, of course, this strong growth for the rest of the year and in the coming years. Now, in relation to new and innovative technologies, what we have seen actually in the Philippines is that the pandemic accelerated the digital transformation in businesses, processes, and daily transactions of Filipinos. We have seen the emergence of many startups in the different areas. We have seen rapid growth of e-commerce, financial technology, digital services, including the use of artificial intelligence. We have attracted a number of leading global firms to set up R&D facilities in the Philippines. And we have also attracted a number of hyperscalers to set up data centers in the Philippines to service not only their operations in the country, but possibly using the Philippines as a hub for Southeast Asia and the broader region.
That's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Priya, for your kind introductions, and also thank you very much for Asia Society for inviting us to participate to this event. The technology, I think the discussion is very timely when we know that the technology does not only have a tremendous potential to overhaul the market industry, but also the changing of the human life. In Indonesia, we have a lot of innovations, such as in renewable energy, digital services, as well as the health and medical infrastructures. I'm going to share with you the innovation that we have. We have a RISA. It's a joystick control medical assistant robot that was developed by the Institute of Technology Surabaya. This is the first time when we are coping trying to solving the problem of shortage of the health workers at the time at the beginning of the pandemic 2020. The second one also genus COVID-19. It is a local manufacturers COVID-19 breathalyzers, using the artificial intelligence and developed by Gajah Mada University. And then also, it is a part of how Indonesia can cope the problem and the beginning of the pandemics COVID-19 in 2022. I think this is also the part of innovation that we developed because limited of the PCR test at the time in 2022. Before we know now is a problem can be solved now. And then also as a commitment in reducing gas emissions. Indonesia also has several innovations, what we call e-bus. E-bus has been developed by local company in East Java, collaboration with the Taiwanese company, also changing the motor from the gas going to electric one. And also we developed the gesit. Gesit in English is meaning is fast. So considering that 86% of the household in Indonesia, at least they have one motorcycles. So we are trying to change the motorcycles with the electric one. It's also a part of Indonesia. I think it's environmentally benefits of Indonesia, right? Because 80% of the households in Indonesia always has motorcycles. So this is an example that we have, and also investments. It's not also can be forgotten, because Google, Apple, etc. also invest to Indonesia about that.
Thank you so much. Double clicking on CGO that you mentioned, and to CG Nagendra Prasad as well, building for the world. If you can highlight some of the innovation some of the innovation that you just mentioned are addressing global markets. It could be larger markets such as here in US, or even as CG Ferrer and Hadi said, it could be cross Asia, cross APAC as well. So can you highlight some of those that are happening?
Okay, well, if we look at the mining industry in Australia, so we've got some of the world-leading robotics technologies and automation technologies that have come out of mining. That's applicable to the world, but it's also applicable to other sectors. So we can have an operations centre in Sydney, but the mine is in Western Australia in a remote part. That distance is actually less than up to lower Earth orbit in space. And so it really means that some of that technology is transferable to space. It's transferable to construction technology. So these have global applications for these businesses. We've got a number of Australian unicorns already. I think we're about 10 now across EdTech. You've got Atlassian, which is software for software developers. You've got Canva, which means that even the most computer illiterate person can become a graphic designer. So we've got some of these technology solutions that are really addressing global problems, and they're global from day one. Here in San Francisco, we've got a landing pad. We've been able to help about 200 Australian companies over the past several years. These are startups that have come from Australia and are looking to expand into the US, and they're doing really well. Some of the success stories we have are companies like Fivecast, which is a company that uses advanced AI and machine learning for the intelligence communities, and that's had direct application for a lot of US companies. So the US Department of Defence has actually entered into a contract with this company out of Adelaide in Australia, because the technology is just solving global problems. And so we've been able to broker some of those introductions. We've got a lot of cybersecurity companies from Australia that have done really well here, that have got investment from VCs, that have got clients here in the US. We've got RSA coming up in San Francisco in a few weeks, and we've got another 30 Australian cybersecurity companies coming over for it. So I think Australian startups do think global from day one. They've got customers here in the US, they're getting investment here, and we've got some really great programs that can help them to scale. And it's not just from one industry to another, but it's from one country to several countries at the same time.
Thank you. CG Prasad, how about you from India?
Thank you, Priya. See, I just want to mention on a lighter note how the technology has gone to the bottom of the pyramid in India. Recently, we saw several messages. In India, there is a system wherein a festival, a bull, well-decorated bull goes to each house, and then dances in front of the house, and then they give some payment. So now this guy was going this time, and in January, he went to a house, and then he didn't ask any money. Just he said, there is a small, what is that called? Yeah,
code,
so QR code. So just you have to put and then pay. So that is the kind of reach of technology in India. On a lighter note, see, IT industry is very important in India, and as Odette mentioned, I'll not be able to list out, but I can tell you it is about 8% of India's GDP. It provides 5 million jobs and 200 billion annual revenue, and it last year it had added about half a million jobs. And then women are now increasingly into this particular sector. About 44% of it was women in India. So IT, the technology driven the services are gaining importance. And then I must mention to you that today there are only 700 million internet users in India. And we are 1.35 billion. So look at now, half a billion more to come into this particular pool. So that is the kind of business potential one has in India, and it is increasing day by day. The 5G, IoT, cloud services, they have all emerged as catalysts for improving the business efficiency. So there comes the catch. So most of the businesses are turning their operations into digital kind of thing. And I can just mention to you the kind of startups which are coming up, like Licious, an animal protein linked one. It has raised 150 million in funds. And Baiju is a huge edtech company. And its technology is not just limited to India, but it is also going out globally. And they are into all kinds of educational activities, and it is market value about 22 billion, and it raised 800 million last year. So Cred Avenue is 137 million. Again, Hasura, it helps the developers with tools, who develop software. Those tools are developed. That Hasura has raised about 100 million, and then it's a unicorn. So this is the kind of the encouragement the Indian market has given. So the technology is on a you can say sprinting in India. And for example, I must tell you, I just mentioned about COVID. For example, we developed the Arogya Setu app. Arogya is health. So that app, and then we developed a co-win platform. What happens is how to track how many people have been vaccinated, and then who has to get the second dose booster. So this co-win platform has been developed, and then several countries in Africa and then Southeast Asia have really were interested, and then we have shared that platform. So that is the kind of technology which government is involved in, private sector is involved in.
And on going back to your lighter note, when you mentioned the bull, I thought you were going to say they're going to take crypto. I was just thinking about, maybe that's what he's going at. In the future, it's possible, right? Thank you for sharing, and congratulations on hitting the 100th unicorn in India I think it was just last month ago. So incredible traction that is seen. CG Ferrer and CG Hadi, question for you. The war for talent is real, and it's a global issue, and we all know it. Southeast Asia, including India too, Philippines, Indonesia, all three of your markets has been target markets to attract some of the best talent, even early on. How would be great to hear kind of what's happening today from that talent perspective, and how are you kind of fostering the talent in your ecosystem for the growing needs from the global markets? Maybe we'll start with you.
Thank you, Priya. In the Philippines, we are quite fortunate because we are currently sitting on a demographic sweet spot of having a relatively young working population. Our total population is about 110 million, with a median age of 24.1 years old. So it's a very young population. Our labor force currently stands at 49 million. We produce almost 800,000 graduates annually. Of course, not as large as what India produces, but our graduates, they are across several disciplines, such as education, engineering, IT-related fields, medicine, and health-related fields. But notwithstanding that, for the Philippines, brain drain has always been an issue in the workforce. In fact, surveys among Generation Z and millennials revealed that a significant number, about 53% of them, would like to work abroad in the next 3 years. So that's a reality that we do face. And because of our shared and strong shared history and strong people-to-people relations between the Philippines and the United States, the U.S. actually has been a major destination for many of our people seeking to work abroad. Many of them actually go here in California, and you will see them working in the health services across the state and in the technology companies here in Silicon Valley. However, we are also seeing Filipino expatriates going back to the Philippines, investing into the country. These are Filipinos who have lived and studied abroad and have built companies, and now they're expanding or building companies in the Philippines. And a number of them actually are from here, from the Bay Area, who have founded startups and companies here and have been successful entrepreneurs. Now they're giving back to their motherland, to the Philippines, serving as mentors, supporting startups, investing in the country, and engaging in various activities to support communities, support local schools, and be part of the economic transformation and development happening in the Philippines. And on the part of the government is working very hard to ensure that we have a people-centered digital transformation. People upskilling has been a major thrust of the government. And at the same time, the government has expanded its social services and has invested heavily in public education, providing free education from primary, secondary, up to tertiary education through state colleges and universities. And the government is creating opportunities back home so that our people do not have to leave the country for better jobs abroad. And of course, we're very happy with the robust economic growth that we have seen. That's why it's providing employment to a lot of our people. At the same time, the government is very active in fostering public-private partnership across many areas. And one particular exciting partnership we have is in the establishment of a center for AI research. So we are now attracting talents to really work in this different outfit, specifically in innovation and technology. Thank you.
I want to start with the potentials of Indonesia as the 16th largest economy in the world. And we have large of young generations. Our population is 305 million peoples, and also we have a large of young generations with the median age below than 30. And we have also a large of digital native born starting from 1980s till 2012, 2012. Then they are a 70% smartphone penetration rate. So then every day, at least 8.5 hours, they spend their time for browsing social media, internet, etc. So I think it is a good chance or big market for Indonesia to enhance the capability of the investment on that. And now I'm going to start with the how the governments to prepare on this. So government try to prepare or encourage the readiness of the society to adopt the collaboration of in technology. We have, for example, we have already the cooperation with the Apple Developer Academy. We have a 3 Apple Developer Academy in Surabaya in collaboration with the University of Ciputra, and then in Jakarta with University of Bina Nusantara, as well as in Batam Island with the Bangsa Batam Nongsa. I'm going to refer to the World Bank report that Indonesia still lack in the digital talent. We need at least 9 million digital talent until 15 years ahead. So meanings that 600,000 people average each year, we have to produce the digital talents. So how to solve this one? So there are 3 at least the cooperations or also program that the government developed. First, about the digital scholarship for the digital talents, and it is participated with 170 groups, and the targeted 134,000 in 2021, and it's going to be 200,000 people in 2022. This is the first one. The second one, we developed the digital literacy movement with the 4 curricula, like digital ethics, digital safety, digital cultures, and also a digital environment for involving them to know about the technology itself. And the third one also about the digital scholarship or for the digital technology involving with the big campus, yeah, in Tsinghua University, and also cooperation with the University of Indonesia and Gajah Mada University in Indonesia, opening the research center in Jakarta. At last, University California, Berkeley, and University of Indonesia signing the MOU for sending more scholarship programs years. And I think it's a good one because in the Department of Engineering for both university.
Amazing. I mean, thank you for sharing all of those incredible efforts. That is absolutely going to hopefully keep the brain drain from each of these markets, but also help the talent find the right spot, right? I think personal growth as well. I know we're running, thank you, May, for the time check. Maybe, Siddhi Hadi, maybe double click on one thing, if you can give a quick update on G20 Summit that we chatted offline about. What is, any insights that it's coming up in Bali? Everyone is welcome, he said. Any insights that you want to share on what we can expect there? And I would love to hear your insights there.
Thank you, Priya. So I think the world's need G20 is more than ever right now, especially during the pandemic and also facing the post-pandemic challenges in the futures. So at the same time, still there is a gap in the countries that we have to solve altogether. That's why in our themes that Indonesia brings the recover together, recover stronger, no one left behind. So understanding the challenges and need to collaborative or to collective actions in the world. So Indonesia will focus on global health architectures, digital transformation, and also sustainable energy transitions. So there are 184 meetings from engagement group, and then working groups, and then deputy ministerial level groups, ministerial meeting groups, until the 15th G20 Head of State Summit in Bali, 15th or 6th until 16 November 2022. We hope that we can continue the cooperations to solve the problems in the global issues. So I think this is a part that we can share with you, and related to the several meeting lead up to the summit about the technology. We have some event like a G20 a digital transformation event, and also digital meeting or expo that we created in Bali and also in other city. It is a part of how we can share and discuss about the technology as a part of the three pillars that we discussed during this presidency.
Thank you. Really exciting. Looking forward to seeing what's
Yes.
updates from there.
Yeah.
For the three of you here, again, pandemic it's not been an easy year for a lot of other reasons. With that said, I think some of the, as CG Prasad, you pointed out, some of the best innovations have come out globally in all of your markets throughout this tumultuous period. For your markets, what is your outlook now looking forward into 2022 and beyond? What are some of the innovations that you're excited about outside of maybe the ones you've already mentioned? What do you think, if you have to double click on some of those innovations, that it's exciting? CG Prasad, we'll start with you.
I think looking forward, we are looking at most of it is auto. Not only the technologies while you develop. I think countries have to focus on renewable energy, and the research and R&D in that particular sector should be there, should be enhanced. The technology, I think, in all sectors, what I see is more of automation. Now we have come to work from home culture and digital transactions. Most of them are digital transactions. I think all these are going to help us towards a more transparent society. And I look at whatever the 6 technologies, including blockchain, and then virtual reality, and augmented reality. All these 6 of them, I think they are going to take the center stage and then take these economies up. Particularly the digital transformation has the other aspect also, the digital divide. What I see more and more is thanks to the technologies, whatever, 4G, 5G, I think that the gap is narrowing. Because you can see someone using the technology down below the pyramid. For example, India has issued over 1 billion ID cards which are biometric, and these cards are being used everywhere. Just to identify yourself, to have your land recognition, land records, or your health records. It is a tremendous transformation digitally. So this particular card, we call it Aadhaar. This is a foundation. The Aadhaar card is going to be really a foundation for improving the digitalization of the society. So we look at every technology, whichever is coming. I think it is going to help the society to move forward.
Some of the best fintech innovations have come out because of the Aadhaar rollouts. Yes. So yeah, it's incredible. Odette.
Yeah, I think we did have some COVID winners come out of Australia. So Mr. Yum had the QR codes for menus, and Kim Teo, she's a terrific founder, and she got the largest seed of an Aussie ever in Australia, so that was wonderful. We've got Zumo, which is electronic bikes for couriers to deliver food, so definitely some COVID winners coming out of Australia. I think what we're seeing now is definitely innovation never stops. There are new industries. I think we're seeing the circular economy, green technology, clean technology. There's definitely a lot of investment coming out of that. But what excites me about the next couple of years in Australia is the evolution of the Australian startup ecosystem. So we're seeing all these unicorns, these companies that are becoming billion-dollar global companies, and we're seeing the first employees, we're seeing the first founders get a lot of money, and they're putting that money back into the ecosystem. So they're either starting up their own VC funds, or they're becoming angel investors. And angel investors are critical for early-stage startups. You need people who have smart money and money, not just the dumb money from the mining industry that we see a lot of sometimes. But you want smart money who's got experience in scaling a company. And so I think that's what we're really seeing in Australia. We're seeing an influx of experienced people, talented people who have built careers already, and they're using that experience to help grow the ecosystem. So I think that's what's really exciting about Australia.
It's music to founders' ears when you said the last sentences about the early stage, the first check that's needed, and the check is from who, right?
Yes.
People who knows what the check is from.
Yeah, don't just take money. You need to make sure that you're getting the right investment.
Excellent. I know we're short on time, but CG Ferrer, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, I just saw the reminder in the last 2 minutes up, so I'll be very quick. Well, I can say that for the Philippines, the outlook is very positive. We have attracted major investments in various technologies and innovations, and the young tech-savvy population we have is driving the demand for digital products and services. We have over 80 million active internet users. Not as many as they have in India, but a significant number of the population love the internet, That's why Facebook is happy, working in the Philippines. We are one of the major social media users in the world. Well, the government is looking at accelerating our goal to achieve the Philippines' fourth industrial revolution, or what we call it, Philippines 4.0, by adopting advanced digital production technologies, engaging in R&D activities, and commercialization of R&D to accelerate innovation, increase value added, and producing equipment, parts, and services that embed new technologies such as robotics, industrial biotechnology, AI, nanotechnologies, connectivity, Internet of Things, blockchain, to name a few. So it's very exciting and promising. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to steal 3 more minutes, May, because I want to wrap this up with one final question for all of you. Why your region? Why now? I know, CG Ferrer, we talked about it offline. I think the goal of it is how can you have more of, companies from here that expand into your markets or invest into your region, right? So why your region and why now? So maybe we'll start with you.
I think a lot of people look to Australia as a safe place during COVID. We had a lot of expats move back to Australia. People want to live in Australia, and they quite respected how Australia handled the pandemic. So I think that's something that's really important just to factor in. We don't have the billions of people that some of the other markets do. We've got 25 million people, but we are the 12th largest economy. So we've got a really highly educated workforce. We've got a creative workforce. We've got some really great companies, and it's not just about the lifestyle, but it's about the ease of building a business. It's about the regulation that is innovative and works with companies, and you can do open banking and what that allows and enables people to do. We've also got this global talent visa, which means that we're able to attract some of the best and brightest people from around the world to come in, we get permanent residency for them and their families when they're working in tech. So we're trying to bring in the best workers to supplement the great people that we've got coming out of our universities. So yeah, some of our biggest trading partners are on the stage at the moment. So although the US is our biggest trading partner, 70% of trade is to our Asia Pacific region.
Thank you. CG Prasad.
I'll go back. India is largest market. You can look at.
He's talking about the TAM.
1.35 billion. And if you ask Priya, why India? I have 100 reasons, but no, I'll just be very short. I must tell you, according to World Bank, India is still, despite downgrading a bit of the percentage points, is the fastest growing large market in the world. And that is the resilience of the market. Despite COVID, we were one of the 4th largest recipients of FDI during the COVID. That is an attraction. And someone was talking about engineers. We produce 1.5 million engineers every year, and for our economy. And these engineers are not only for India, but also for global. This one, in US itself, we have at any point of time 200,000 students, all 90% of them in the engineering, medicine, etc. That is a pool you have. Any company which goes, they look for talent. What you were saying, and in India, we have come up with new educational policy, according to which we want to have interdisciplinary institutions and not go for tertiary education, but have training for the targeted industries. That we are going to start, and then several industries have come up with proposals to start. For example, semiconductor industry needs something, designing industry needs something. So Hollywood gets most of their things from India. So for those targeted ones, we want to stop tertiary education, and then +2 studied students can come into this. That is one more. And now India is the 3rd largest ecosystem for startups. And then you yourself said, and then you are involved in funding several angel investing startups. And we have now crossed 100 unicorns. And this quarter, we can proudly say that every 7 to 10 days, we produced 1 unicorn. The thing is, it is all in IT, but we want to expand it to different services. getting onto rural technologies, etc. That is a focus of the government. And the inflation and everyone is talking about now. I think the growth will be higher and the inflation will be lower as per the the world average, as per economists. So we are looking at a rosy picture for India. And investments, FDI investments into India is continuous and then constant. We have not found. And last but not the least, India, we would like to become a manufacturing hub. And at the same time, for example, we have experienced because of depending on one source, the problem of semiconductors, etc. And then global players are looking at India to have a center in India which is more reliable link in the supply chain. So I think these are all there to make India a favorite destination, not only digital transformation, but for investments. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you, CG Ferrer. I know you highlighted a lot, but
Yeah, well, I can say that now is the best time to do business in the Philippines. I mentioned earlier the rapid recovery of the Philippine economy from the pandemic and the robust GDP growth that we have been seeing since last year. We have a growing innovation and ecosystem with global strengths in ICT goods and services exports. And these things did not happen by chance. The Philippine government over the years has been undertaking the necessary structural reforms to make our economy competitive and resilient. In fact, during the pandemic, the Philippines passed new economic liberalization measures relating to foreign investments, retail trade, public services, and taxation. These new measures create numerous opportunities for synergy between local and international firms. There are many opportunities for partnerships, joint ventures, especially with those in the cutting edge of information technology. Doing business in the Philippines has been streamlined and is very cost competitive. We have business-friendly policies in place. We have a stable government and just recently successfully completed national elections. We expect a peaceful turnover of government and continuity of open, innovative, and knowledge-based policies. But our most important asset is our people. We have a young, highly educated, English proficient workforce who are open to foreign culture. You can count on our creativity, hard work, dedication, and customer service orientation to expand your business, not just in the Philippines, but in the broader region. Thank you.
thank you. CG Hadi for the final thoughts.
I'm very optimistic that every country will come to Indonesia because of not only abundance of natural resources and also the larger population, but also, as I mentioned before, that we have the capacity for growing up the startup. So for example, that in the 7 super apps application right now in Southeast Asia, Indonesia has 3 at least, Gojek, what Nadiem Makarim created. Gojek right now merged with the Tokopedia. Both of them is a super apps in 7 ranks in Southeast Asia. And the other one also J&T Express. It is a Taiwanese company who invested in Indonesia and then being like a legal entities in Indonesia, and it's growing also have decacorn. So we have at least a decacorn in Indonesia, and then the rest is also unicorns. We still at least 7 unicorns like a Bukalapak, Ajaib, Zenith, yeah, right, and also a government just approved 41 e-wallet. And then at least we have a 5 e-wallet bank, a digital bank, like Aladdin, Sharia, and then also others that can be mentioned. This is one factors. The second option, as I mentioned about the big markets in Indonesia, because of the large and young generation, and then penetration of the internet rate is very high. That is also other factors. And then the third point is about the new regulation of our government. To improve the ease doing business in Indonesia. So with the online submission system, you can get the easily numbers and then permissions and also others requirements that the foreign investor coming to Indonesia. So this is some description or pictures about of Indonesia for the investment for the outlook in 2022 here.
Thank you so much. I mean, let's just give a round of applause. This is not a competitive group at all over here, as you can tell. Any questions? I know we're short on time on questions, but we'd love to take any. Yes, please. If you can wait for the mic and introduce yourself before asking the question.
Hello. Great panel. I'm Kaustaf Chaudhary. You can call me KC, founder of US government-funded mentoring and investing platform, Pitch Global. So today I'm here because one of my friend, he's advisor to India's sovereign fund, and Ambassador Prasad hosted his event honoring former mayors of San Francisco. I was there next to that. So I'm trying to have him connect with sovereign funds of other countries as well, because our goal is to because he's backed by PMO and highest level of the government in India, who of course privately Ambassador Prasad can give his reference. How do we connect? How do I make him connect with sovereign funds from Indonesia, Philippines, Australia? Maybe we can have an event here with sovereign funds of various countries. So,
okay, for Indonesia, we have a Ministry of Investment and also the institution who handle or taking of this fund. So I think it's a good chance or opportunity to discuss further about that matters. So for the free, come to our Consulate General and discuss, and then also giving us the detailed information about your program. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be happy to reach out to you later after this program. I'll give you my contact details. And at the same time, aside from the consulate, we have the Philippine Trade and Investment Center in Silicon Valley, and our trade commissioner is here. So we will come up to you, and we look forward to engaging on this.
Yeah, the Future Fund is our sovereign wealth fund, so we can make some introductions there. But I always welcome you to come to Australia and talk to all the superannuation funds that we've got. It's the key partnership is with India.
Thank you. Any other question?
Thank you. Nick Nichols, Consul General for Australia. So I know the answer from Australia. Well, I think I do. Tech is completely dependent upon chips. And so I wonder where each of your countries stand in the supply chain around chip manufacturing or chip design.
In India, the chip designing, etc., has been there for years. The major players like Intel, Micron, all of them have already the huge design centers. What we are looking at is that is not enough to become a link, reliable link in the supply chain. So the manufacturing, the fab. So recently, the government of India has started a mission semiconductors, and we are looking at completely a private setup, a successful CEO to head it, and to attract these big players to have fab centers in India. I believe each fab center to start even it takes 2 years, and there are some players who are keen and then who are looking at India. Because not only that, nowadays, it is not the material which you require to make them, but it is the talent pool, the other requirements of infrastructure. So I think they are finding some places suitable in India. We are looking forward to start making chips now. So.
Well, for the Philippines, also we have U.S., Japanese, and Taiwanese companies based in the Philippines, similarly engaging in manufacturing and production of semiconductors and chips. Our part in the global market is not that much, but definitely there is much room for expansion in the Philippines. We have the necessary facilities, the infrastructure to support further expansion of this manufacturing in the Philippines.
We may have room for one question. Go ahead, sorry.
Hi, Hugh Lester from PwC, and there hasn't been, I don't think, mention of China in this discussion, and I was curious you know, a lot of talk about the US as a market for your tech companies and for investment in your tech sector. How do you think about China, both as a market for your tech companies and also Chinese investment in your tech sectors?
Great question.
For Indonesia, I think it's a good cooperation also, like in China, and also same with the United States. So everybody or every country, we have a good cooperation on that. So in the positive things that we have to go forward with the collaborative actions, what we need for positive things that we can develop all together with the cooperation itself.
Yeah, well, the Philippines, we have very close relations with China, as you are aware. Of course, there are some issues in terms of on the other areas, but as far as trade and economic sphere is concerned, China is our major trading partner. They have major investments in the Philippines. They provide financing, and they are part of the rest of the economic activities in the country, you know, whether in technology, including in mining, you know, and provision of other infrastructure and services. And we have a great economic relations with China. My first assignment as a Foreign Service Officer was in Beijing. That was over 20 years ago, and we have excellent relations at all levels with the Chinese government. And our incoming President-elect Bongbong Marcos, his parents were the ones who established the diplomatic relations between the Philippines and China. So they have welcomed, in fact, the Chinese president. He congratulated personally the president. So we expect the relations to grow even further, you know, with the new administration coming in.
We have huge bilateral trade with China, amounting to about 90 to 100 billion a year. And the trade, you know, the gap is more, you know. So we are trying to, you know, fix that gap, you know, in bilateral trade.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Mandarin is the second most spoken language in Australia, so China is an important market for us, and all of our companies look to the world when they're exporting and expanding, so it remains an important market.
Again, once again, let's just give a big round of applause and thank you, CG Odette, CG Prasad, CG Ferrer, CG Hadi, for all of the insights and being candid and open with these conversations. And again, looking forward to doing, you know, having these dialogues more. And thanks, Asia Society, for fostering this conversation.
Thank you again to all of our talented speakers. It's really so interesting to hear about all the promising and positive innovation that's come out of the region despite COVID. So we want to hear a lot more, especially about all the talent in your regions and all those unicorns. So we do need to come back and do more programs with all of you. A big thank you to Priya for your wonderful moderation. Thank you to Silicon Valley Bank and Medill for sponsoring us and supporting us. And a huge thanks to our Asia Society team. They're out there getting ready for the reception. But Rexel Uy put this together. Natalie Despigliere is in the room. Rahul Devaskar and Nina Udagawa and all of our volunteers. Let's please thank them very much for their help. You can check out our website for our upcoming programs. On June 17th, we're going to the opera. Dream of the Red Chamber is premiering. We're also going to host a half-day conference in Silicon Valley on U.S.-India relations. That's going to be on June 23rd. Registration is available for both of those events. Remember to check your emails tonight or tomorrow morning because we're going to do that Southwest drawing for a member in the room. And we're going to head to our reception now. Thank you to the Philippine Consulate for providing food and drink, the India Consulate for bringing us the dancer, Jaya Sharma, and to Australia for the wonderful wines. There is an overflow room, and they're all going to be in line ahead of you. So please make your way over there. I'm sure our speakers will be around if you have any questions. Let's join the reception. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.